Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fetch Quest. My name is Connor, and today I am your host, and I am joined by my co host, Brewer. Brewer, are you there? Brewer,
Sorry. I was jamming out.
this is my first time hosting, and you can't even get through the intro?
I mean, if it makes it feel a little bit better, man. I mean, it was the Hi-Fi Rush soundtrack. I know you love that.
How'd you. Yeah, you're right, I do like it, but how did you know we were going to be talking about hi fi today?
Cause Connor, I'm a psychic. That and I read through your diary last night.
How did you even get into my house? Like, you don't even know where I live. What the
What
hell?
do you mean? I've been to your house before. You don't remember all those times I was watching you sleep?
That's what that was. I just thought that was the skinwalker I keep in my closet.
I mean, you look similar enough to
And
me. So,
yeah. Anyway, we're getting off track. It's time today. We are talking about Hi-Fi-Rush because we wanted to talk about Hi-Fi-Rush. That's about it.
I mean, yeah, it's
That,
just
that's
it's just
that.
a game both of us have played. It was a very like out of nowhere game. It just came in there and hit like a truck with how good it was.
Yeah, I remember there was no, as far as I remember, there's no like big promotion for it. I just saw a bunch of YouTube ads and I was like, oh, this looks sick. And then I saw, oh, if I get Game Pass, I can just play it for free on the cloud version. And I did that. And then I found out the cloud version was really bad. And so this is a little story to get us started off. Because the cloud version was so terrible and bad, I decided to install an Ethernet cable in my house, which meant I had to crawl through all the like layers of my house in order to, through that dirt and stuff in order to install that Ethernet cable, and it was 100% worth it.
Yeah, I really hate having to use cloud versions for fucking anything because Lord knows are they just buggy as all hell. That's why
Yeah, we
That's why
don't.
Stadia crashed and burned.
Yeah, that's why we don't talk about Kingdom Hearts cloud version on Switch.
Yeah, especially because it's a fucking PS2 game. I know damn well it can run on there.
Yep. All right, but let's actually start talking about hi-fi. A lot of you might be wondering, what is Hi-Fi-Rush? Hi-Fi-Rush is a small. Well, it's not small. It was made by. It was released by Xbox. I'm pretty sure made by the same people at Bethesda, if not like connected to Bethesda.
I think it
Um,
was published. Either way, like it had a really experienced dev team work on it.
yeah, it's Bethesda is a sort of hack and slash, or not Bethesda, fucking Hi-Fi Rush is a hack and slash video game with a twist. It is actually a sort of Devil May Cry hack and slash while it's also a rhythm game. So, in order to do really good, you also have to match up with the beat of the game. And it's really fun. Like that's the best way to put it. It's fun. The music is, of course, an absolute banger. There's a story's a little, iffy, but
I mean, I
the
like the story a
gameplay,
lot actually. I mean,
the story, no,
it
yeah,
wasn't anything like
like,
crazy, but it was very entertaining for what it was trying to be, which I think is the best thing I can give for these types of games. It entertained
yeah, hundred
me.
percent,
It made me laugh.
100.
So
Yeah, I'm not like Guy. I don't need a super enriching story to make me like enjoy something. Like I love the story, even if there are some flaws with it. I love the story.
well, it kind of gives me the
Um,
vibe of just like a Saturday morning cartoon type of thing.
yeah, that's a great way to describe it. Actually, it does definitely, especially with the style,
Yeah,
the
I
art
love the
style.
cell shaded style just in general from
Yeah,
games.
literally, it feels like a comic book, and the game does it because there are a bunch of cutscenes where they just are in a comic book,
Yeah,
and I love the style of it. But before we get into the story, I think we should touch on the gameplay a bit, don't you, Brewer?
yeah. Okay, I just want to note one thing real quick. I looked up the developers. It was developed by Tango Gameworks, and
That's
it
right. It was
was
Tango.
published though by Bethesda Softworks for Windows and
Yeah,
Xbox.
I knew Bethesda was connected. I just couldn't remember if they published or developed it. But yes, it was published by Bethesda. Bro, I know you really like the gameplay in it. You want to touch on that a bit?
Yeah, because like, well, I think we did mention this game in our beat 'em up episode before, and with Hi-Fi Rush, along with like all the combo routes you have, the thing that like I think helps keep it feeling fresh the entire time is just the rhythm aspect. Because throughout like the entire game, there's always a beat going on, so you're literally playing to the same music that's going on in the game, and you have to time your button presses with it. So I think even if you are using the same combo routes, that really helps you just stay active with it the entire time because you're having to focus and be like, okay, if I want my attacks to do more damage and if I want to get a higher rating, I have to perfectly time my button presses and dodges and parries to these enemies. There's just so
Yeah,
much
no.
that goes into it that you don't get bored. It never feels like a button masher where I'm just pressing the same button, because if you do that, you'll usually just get your ass kicked. It forces you to,
Yeah.
like, think outside of the box and also come up with your own routes and your own way to play, which is what I love about it so much.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, so Hi-Fi was my first like sort of game like that. You know, like beat 'em up, hack and slash sort of game where you had all those combo routes. It was my first ever game playing like that. And it's really easy to understand. There's a lot of different like aspects that go into it. You know, you have these I can't remember what they're called in game, but you can call your like allies and they can help you with combos, and it's really fun. Like the gameplay itself is really good. And the thing about the rhythm aspect is that you'd expect it to be like this huge, like sort of like part that makes it incredibly difficult. But the beat is so simple and it becomes like so natural that you'll just subconsciously end up learning the beat, and then you'll be able to time your combos perfectly to the beat.
It does help that
That's
it
what happened with
also has, like, a sick ass soundtrack that makes you actually wanna
yeah,
follow along to the beat and hum along with it.
yeah. And it also has this thing where you can turn on a thing where you can visually like see the beat like when it hits, which is what I always used because it just made it simple, and plus that like sort of visual aspect also really
Well,
helped.
plus, like, for accessibility too, I think that's good. So, like, if you have any people that are deaf playing the game, they still have ways to play it.
Yeah,
Because another
exactly.
thing is beyond just the like little circle that you can put up where you can see the notes coming in, like the entire world moves along to the rhythm too. So enemies will attack on the rhythm. You try to get your allies to come in on the rhythm, and then like even like the stop signs and like visual aspects are all jumping up and down to the rhythm. Everything is on point at the same time, so even if you close your eyes or if you just like cover your ears, you can still play along to the game just fine.
Yeah, it's really like the animation on how like everything is always synced up to the beat is just incredible. Um yeah, I think you brought up a good point with like the music earlier that I kind of want to like go off of,
Oh yeah.
if that's all right.
Oh yeah, you good.
So, you know, for a rhythm game, you want the music to be good. That I think that's something we can agree on.
Definitely.
Yeah. And the music in this game is really well made. And there is a thing within Hi-Fi where there is a streamer mode, because in the base like soundtrack there are songs which are copyrighted, like they're like actual songs that are within it. um and I'm just going to say this now: if you are wanting to play Hi-Fi, I would say put streamer mode on even if you aren't a streamer, because in my opinion the actual soundtrack that's made for the game works a lot better than some of the songs used within the actual game. Because and this goes for different mediums all like always, but if you ever take a song and put it in a different context, it's never going to sound right, because most songs are built with a specific context in mind, and so if you take it out of that context it becomes something completely different. That's why I like really don't like jukebox musicals, Like there are a few that are good, but most jukebox musicals never work for me because they're just taking a completely different song out of context and then trying to recontextualize it,
Well, I
which
think
is why I
I think especially for hi-fi where you got to play along to the beat of it, and like the bosses as well usually have their own tracks that go along with their personalities and their movements and animations. Like having the music sync up is really important, and they did it to like an astonishing degree. Like it's really hard to pull off what they did with the game.
yeah, like it again. I cannot like give praise on how everything just moves to the beat enough. Like like the bosses and the thing is, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, especially in the latter half of the game. Like just because everything moves to the beat does not mean that the game is not super difficult. It definitely becomes easier, but that means that it also becomes a lot more difficult, especially with the bosses.
Oh yeah.
Because, but speaking of bosses, how about we touch on the story a bit?
Oh yeah, we can go on that real quick. It's a pretty simple story, all things considered, but it's a very
Yeah,
enjoyable one.
yeah, the story is what it I expected for the game, which is not an insult. Like the game knows it's not going to be telling some like super complex, like it's going to make you think like of deep life aspects, like I don't know, like Xenoblade or something, which you could argue has a story like that. It knows it's goofy. It knows it's not taking itself seriously, and I love that part of it because the story is just so much more enjoyable because of it.
Yeah, well, it's a simple premise where it's like just like a ragtag team going against like evil corporation.
It literally just going against Elon Musk.
Yeah, it wants to mind control everybody. Like yeah,
Yeah, it
main villain is Elon Musk. You're right.
it literally it's I don't know if I'm pretty sure it's just standard for typical rich greedy CEO, but the parallels to Elon Musk are incredible and I respect it all the more for that.
Yeah, it also just
But
has some genuinely like funny moments in there too, to spice
yeah,
everything up. Like one of the villains being just like doing insane poses and stuff, or like what I would like to call JoJo references, which references
yeah,
anime series
he's
that's very
literally
weird.
yeah, he literally is just a JoJo character and like JoJo reference personified and it's amazing.
Yeah, that or one moment where like the main character Chai is carrying. I won't say this character for spoiler reasons, but is carrying this one character to like run away, and then he keeps hitting their head on like the wall and stuff by accident. And at one point, he
Yeah,
tries to be really careful to not do it. Like he slowly goes through a door just for the door to come down and smack them in the face anyway.
yeah, that entire like
Bit.
scene was just amazing.
Yeah, it's just
It's
like
so funny.
just had really good comedic timing with it.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people throw like the neon white argument sometimes. At least when it first came out, there's a lot of people saying like it was like neon white, where it was cringy and stuff like that. And I am not only a neon white defender with its story. I think neon white story is really good, and I think it's funny as all like hell. Like you can say whatever. I think it's the neon white story is funny, but it is Hi-Fi Rush is very funny. Like it's super funny.
Yeah, again, it's just very well written, is what I'd say. Because even with the funny moments, it does have like some seriously, genuinely good, like just like actual emotional beats with it as well, which is like the
Yeah,
villains and stuff.
yeah. We can't go. I can't go into my favorite boss fights without like super spoiling it. I will, however, go on a quick rant about the cloud version because again, the cloud version sucks.
I mean, it is a rhythm game, so any amount of delay at all will definitely mess it up.
Well, this was after I had installed my Ethernet, so there was like zero delay basically.
I mean, there's still going to be some delay, even with an
There was,
Ethernet
I
cable.
mean, there was some delay, but not to like the extent. But it was still bad. So in the, I'll just say in the final boss fight, there's this section where you have to perfectly parry him, And by the way, we didn't touch on this, but in Hi-Fi, there's this thing where bosses and sometimes enemies will enter this like parry stage where you have to match the beat up with their attacks and perfectly parry
Okay.
their
Well,
attacks.
during combat, you can usually always like parry their attacks. Like they'll have like a little sparkle come up to indicate it in a sound effect.
Yeah,
Their attack will come down, you can parry, but they also have times where like instead of like being able to dodge it, they literally lock you in. They'll say a couple notes or something, and you have to copy it back at them, sort of like you're playing a Guitar Hero.
yeah, that's a great way to describe it. But the final boss has a section like that, and it's the final section. And for some reason, on the cloud version, or it might have just been the Xbox version as a whole, I think it was specifically the cloud version. For some reason, it would just glitch, and the attacks would just not like show up. Like you couldn't like just that.
I'm
It's hard to explain.
I'm gonna say that's just the cloud version because I've never heard of
Yeah,
that happen in like PC or Xbox version.
yeah.
Personally, I
I'm
play
pretty sure.
PC, so
I did some Reddit research because everything's on Reddit. So if you have a question, someone's already asked it on Reddit.
mm,
But people were having the same problem, and the attacks just would not, spawn. So you could still parry, but you wouldn't hit the attack would not hit you because it just wouldn't activate. And so you would just constantly be stuck in there in that like phase for like ever. I
it,
think I was
it,
stuck in like for like half an hour maybe. I was stuck trying to get that parry.
that just sucks. It sounds like one of those old NES glitches. Like I remember when I saw for Mega Man, where a boss like one of its sprites would pop up, but like its attacks wouldn't come out, and you had to jump on segments of the boss to attack it. So that you would just have to try to guess the timing of when his attacks were coming out to beat him, even though they were basically invisible.
Yeah, and it wasn't that they were invisible. It was just that they literally just would not attack you. Like you could just stand there and not parry, and like the attacks wouldn't hit you. They just wouldn't spawn for some reason, and so you would just be stuck in that like area for so
Yeah.
long.
Well, moving on
But
from just like cloud
yeah,
stuff.
it doesn't take away from the game. It takes away from the cloud version, but the game itself is like I think it's like a 9 out of 10 game.
Yeah, since with the combat, like a lot of let's say hack and slashes usually go for a route where they have light attacks, heavy attacks, and depending on the order you press them in, that's the attacks will come out. And while Hi-Fi-Rush does still do that, they add so much variation to how you play. So like you have a grapple attack to like dodge over, knock the enemies up. You can jump up and try to juggle them in the air for a while, and then you can tag in your friends to like help keep the combos going or to deal with specific types of enemies.
Yeah, the amount of like different ways you can extend or like change up your routes with the different like yeah, like you said, the grapple or your friends and stuff like that is like it's immense is the best way to say it. Like it can go on for so long.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if I'm assuming that's the case for most other hack and slash games, but as the person whose first hack and slash was hi-fi, it was very overwhelming at first, but you slowly get more and more used to it.
I
And
mean, it
like,
just depends because most hack and slashes they do try to keep the gameplay varied beyond just like the light and heavies by adding in other attacks you can throw in. But at some points with those, you just get at a point where like even with those extra attacks, you feel like you're just doing the same thing. Like Persona 5 Strikers, when I was playing through that, at the end of the game, even if they gave me a different character, it just felt like I was doing the same thing over and over.
yeah, that we could do an entire episode on Persona 5 Strikers and in my opinion why it's not good.
Well, I
But
liked it. I thought that was good at some sections. It just had a couple of flaws here and there. I think that should have been hashed out.
yeah, but this is about hi-fi. I personally think it's not good. I personally think Persona 5 Strikers is not a good game, but we can save that for another time.
Yeah, well, I think what I was listing there is just the problem hack and slashes have had in general, like especially like warrior type games where you're just mashing the
Yeah,
button, you don't even have to look at the screen. But hi-fi, like I mentioned
yeah,
before, it keeps you constantly focused with the rhythm to where you usually don't notice that. And you can like buy different attacks as well. Like there's one where you
Yeah,
hold it down to charge up and attack. There's another one where you mash the button to do a quick one. You can time your dash perfectly and then do an extra attack with that. There's so many just different routes you can do and customize your gameplay. Like I could go
yeah,
replay it right
and
now and have a great time.
yeah, we have to. Yeah, exactly. Um, and I can agree with that because there were moments where I was finding myself like mashing the same attack, and it made me feel bad because it was like the game made me want to like explore those different routes because of how fun it was. Like it made me want to try different attacks and mix and match and stuff like that. Which and like opposed with like how you were saying Warriors games. Like I played Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity,
Oh yeah.
and I remembered I would literally just spam these same attacks over and over and over again and never like change my routes or anything because there was just no point because like the route I was doing was just really good.
I hate to say it, with a lot of those warrior games, this may be my hot take for tonight. A lot of them are good, but I feel like they're like the fast food of hack and slashes. They're good, but it's not going to be up to par with a lot of the other ones. It's just nice, easily made. Like that's the problem I have with
Yeah,
Persona 5 Strikers is it was another Warriors type game. I felt like I was just going through some of the same stuff I had with other Warrior type games as well.
yeah, like I 100% agree with that. Like they're not bad like you said, but they're just like yeah,
But it's,
fast food
but it's not where you may want to
of
like take a first date.
yeah, it's like there's this one game I really like. You're meeting the girl and it's like, what video games do you like? I like Warriors games, and then she just leaves right there and then.
Yeah.
You took me to McDonald's and you like Hyrule Warriors?
Well,
Gross.
at least you didn't say mobile games.
Oh, that's so true.
The
You
instants are
got
not.
games on your phone?
Yeah, the little cousin response.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, if this episode definitely was a little more brambly than others, but I think it just goes to show how much we love this game. Like I could
Honestly, I think it's a personal game of the year contender for me.
yeah, and if they haven't released the nominees yet, as far as I know, they haven't.
Oh
But
no,
I
they
definitely
haven't.
think okay, yeah, good. But as far as I know, Hi-Fi Rush should definitely be in consideration for at least like a good chunk of like nominations.
I
Like
don't
it's
know if
such a
it'll get
good game.
nominated for Game of the Year, but it'll be a crime if they
I
don't nominate for like best soundtrack at least.
Yeah, I'll be 100%. I don't as much as I love the game, I don't think it'll get nominated for Game of the Year. There's just been so many good games this year.
That was last year with me and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Like, luckily it did get nominated, but part of me was saying it's not gonna get nominated.
Well, it's like this year we've got like Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2,
Tears of
Mario
the
Wonder,
Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, we've got
There's so many
and
good games.
that's just in the latter half. Like the beginning of the year was also just incredibly good.
Yeah, like with Hi-Fi Rush, that was like one of the first ones that people were automatically saying Game of the Year contender because it just came out of nowhere and just destroyed expectations.
Yeah. If it should get I agree, and or in like Baldur's Gate 3 also came out. Like that's a good one
Oh yeah,
too.
Baldur's Gate 3.
But if Hi-Fi does not get nominated for at least best soundtrack, I'm gonna be pissed because its soundtrack is a freaking
All right,
banger.
everyone, please let Jeff Keighley know that it needs to at least be nominated for something so Connor doesn't destroy the
Ev-
world.
yeah, everyone DM Jeff Jeff on Twitter and spam him with you should nominate Hi-Fi Rush.
Just be annoying. Also, please don't
Just
harass him.
harass
No,
him.
no, no, don't
Oh,
harass
never
him.
mind.
Don't harass him.
I was going off the joke.
Please don't harass him. We do not advise harassing people.
We do not advertise DMing Jeff Keighley on
We do
Twitter
not advocate for harassing people online.
unless it's Elon Musk. He deserves it.
Maybe.
All right, but with that being said, um, make sure to like the video, like you were hitting someone with a guitar in
Make
Hi-Fi-Rush.
sure to smash that subscribe button like you would do a combo in the game.
Yeah. And make sure to comment and, tell us what you want us to talk about next. We are more than open for ideas on what to talk about next.
All right. Well, with that, I think that's the end of the
Yeah,
episode. So thank you guys for
yeah.
watching.
Brewer, I have to ask you to please stop staring at me at night. You're upsetting my skinwalker.
Nah. I'm gonna be the I'm gonna be the replacement Skinwalker. You ain't getting shit.
All right. I'm sorry, Tommy. We got Brewer. Brewer said he wasn't gonna stop. I'm sorry.
Yeah, fuck
All right.
Tommy.
All right. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.